It will still be another week before the Monarchs get to test out the brand new scoreboard at Mike Smith Athletic Field. They're on the road for week 2 of the season, this time a trip to New Hanover, and a much tougher opponent than they faced last week in 1A Jones Senior. They won the Jones Senior game 48-0. Now they have to get ready for a tough opponent, a 3A team that just dropped down from 4A. Coach Cobb, it is said that defense wins games. And I know you've been working the defense pretty hard out here in New Hanover, a much, much different team than we faced last week.
Yeah, I mean, defense wins championships. You know, offense puts people in the stands, but when it all comes down to it, if they don't score, then you can't really lose the game. So, you know, we concentrate on trying to do the little things, and the big things will take care of themselves. We've got a tough opponent Friday night in New Hanover. They've dropped down to 3A. So it'll give us a good test. I mean, New Hanover has always historically been a good football team with lots of athletes. So we'll see how we fare against a good quality opponent on Friday.
What are you looking from them this season from New Hanover? This is the first time you've played them, I think, since around 2009. Right. Are we expecting to see a balanced offense, or are they a little heavier one way or the other? Yeah, you
know, the scout films that we have, they're pretty balanced. You know, people say they like to sling it around, but without knowing the numbers right off the top of my head, it was pretty even. So as a defensive coordinator, you got to prepare for both. And you know, what we do in our defense, it allows us to be multiple. So a team that comes in and is balanced, it doesn't hurt us one way or the other. We're all about getting to the football, you know, do the little things. I always preach the 3 A's, you know your alignment, know your assignment, and then be an athlete. And, you know, those are the little things that regardless of what they do offensively, we don't change what we do defensively.
Now, last year, your defense shut the door on several teams, you know, held them scoreless, and other teams held to 1, maybe 2 touchdowns, and these were good teams.
Right.
What has changed from last year to this year? Have you had some critical places where you've needed to replace players?
Well, no, we brought back, you know, off our starting 11 from last year, we only probably replaced, I think it was 4. And the guys that we replaced, you know, they're filling in real well and picking up where we left off last year. So, you know, we were able to build off what we did last year. Anytime you can return, you know, more than half of your starters, then we don't expect to drop off at all. So those guys that have stepped up and filled in those positions this year have done real well. And, you know, I mean, there's always somebody in the back door waiting to go. So when we do lose players, we have somebody right there ready to go that we feel comfortable in getting the job done.
And finally, Coach Cobb, I know you run a number of defensive schemes. I don't want you to give up any secrets.
My secret, yeah.
But tell me, are there any surprises we can expect this season?
No, I mean, we're just going to get after it. You know, we're a multiple 30 front. You know, we can get into different looks out of that 30 front, but our bread and butter is utilizing what we have, and we have speed. We got guys that can run to the football. So I mean, it's no secret in what we're going to do. We're going to line up. We may show you every once in a while on a blue moon, you know, a different front, but we're basically going to get after it from our base alignment. If I had to break it down last year, you know, percentage-wise, we probably ran our base 95% of the time, and then, you know, 5% we would mix it up. But, you know, my thing is if I can't get it done in our base, then I'm probably not going to get it done in another front. So we don't spend a lot of time on different fronts. We don't allow the offense to predicate what we're doing. We just get after it and make sure we're in good position to be successful.
Jireh Wilson, number 5, wide receiver DB.
Jireh, you had an opportunity to get on the field and make an impact before we had to kind of call off the dogs on Friday against Jones Senior, a young team up there, a 1A team, and you guys showed a lot of class in not running up the score. Tell me how it felt being back on the field in a game, what you learned from that game.
It felt great to be back. I had a countdown going for about 45 days. I was just so excited to get my senior year started. And in terms of what we learned, Coach told us, like, it's a young team. It's like you don't want to be on the other end of the stick. Sometimes you just got to let up and take it easy, especially on a young team like Jones Senior, when we kind of went into the game knowing that we were going to win. So, like, Coach Pete taught us it's about sportsmanship, being the better man. Sometimes you just got to be the better man.
How have you been getting ready for this game against New Hanover? A much different story this week. This is a former 4A team that just dropped down to 3A, a non-conference opponent, but still another 3A team. You guys are just moving up. How have you been getting ready for them?
We've just been watching film, kind of going over their plays and stuff. We know going in that they have just as much athletes as we do, so it's going to take more than just being good and our athleticism to win. We got to pay attention to the little things, win fourth downs, all the other stuff to win in order to win the game.
How important of a test is playing New Hanover for the rest of the season? I mean, we know we have December circled on the schedule, but I think we probably also have that Havelock game circled on the schedule.
Man, getting ready, it's like, we know it's one of the hardest teams on our schedule. They're one of the top teams in the state. I think they're in like the top 10. Also, it kind of, since they're one of the best teams, it kind of gives us a look at where we're at and like our team and our level and whatnot.
Were you satisfied with your play on Friday?
Yes, ma'am. I knew I wasn't going to play much. It was nice to let the young guys play because they won't always get the opportunity to play because we'll be playing close games. So I just did what I could do in the time I was in.
Coach Pollock, a much different game coming up this week. You played a 1A opponent. You're playing essentially a 4A opponent this Friday. They just dropped down to 3A just this season, and they're a pretty good team. What have you been doing to prepare the team?
Well, we knew it was going to be a tougher task this week playing New Hanover than it was last week playing Jones. Like I said, there was a 4A program dropped down to 3A. But I think we're up for the task. They're going to be very athletic, just like us, a big offensive line, defensive line, and hopefully we can come out on a positive end.
What have you been doing in particular? Is it defense, offense, or everything that you really felt you needed to get ready for this game?
Well, we felt everything, but every Monday we start out on defense. Defense is the most important thing. So we can stop them from scoring, but they can't win. So that's what's going in, and we do that every week. So hopefully we can minimize their points and we can light up the side of our scoreboard.
How has Elliott Dangerfield's development been at quarterback in leadership as well as in play on the field? We didn't get to see his full range of talents on Friday, and I guess we're going to really see them this Friday.
Right. We expect him to play much more this Friday than he did last Friday, but Elliott, he's a quiet leader. He does things by example, leads by example. But it was big for him last week. I think he ended up 4 for 9. But if you go back and look at 3 of those passes were dropped. So in essence, he was 7 of 9. But he does a great job for us. Done a great job all summer, and we're expecting bigger things out of Elliott as the season goes on.
What was the mood of the team in the locker room after that victory on the bus on the way back? And how have you been able to kind of refocus them from meeting a pretty much polar opposite opponent this week?
Well, they after the game, they was excited. I told them to enjoy it just that night, so they enjoyed it on the way back and in the locker room when we got back here. But they realized Monday that it's not going to be a 36-0 at the end of the first quarter. It's going to be a much tougher opponent, and if you tell me it's going to be 36-0 this week, I would take that bet and say it wouldn't be. Like I said, Hanover, they're going to let us know where we're at and what we need to work on. It's a team that dropped down to 3A, and back in the day they used to play Jacksonville in their conference, and we got the same type of athletes, and we feel as though if we can compete against them and come out on the victory end or just hang in there, we know that we can make some noise come conference time in our conference and eventually in the playoffs.
We know looming on the conference schedule is Havelock, and I would assume this game is probably going to be a very good tune-up game to kind of gauge where you are as you start looking down the road to the tough part of your conference schedule.
Right, it will. They're similar to Havelock, got a big offensive line, big defensive line, athletes all over the field, and they throw the ball around a lot. So it'll get us tested and ready for them and later on in conference teams as well. But right now we're just going to focus on them, not going to focus on Havelock, but we get them out the way, and then next week we'll focus on Clinton.
Coach, what's Maurice McIntyre's status for this game?
Maurice, he won't play this game, got a little slight injury, but we're expecting him to be back next week.